Good night and welcome to our fourth session here with Queen Anne Mingus Center. Tonight we are welcoming Marian Peynado, who will give us some stress techniques and things that will help us return back to our inner peace, especially dealing with this current administration and dealing with tiny humans who then, invoke stress management. So I'm going to hand it over to Marianne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marian Peynado. I am a licensed master social worker. I'm a therapist at True Self Counseling and Wellness Center. And I'm also a Circle of Security parenting facilitator and a journey dance instructor. Circle of Security is all about supporting parents with helping their recognize their children's basic emotional needs, and journey dance is an embodiment practice that helps you to externalize those feelings and emotions that sometimes we just can't find the words for. And at True Self, we're here to just help individuals manage and navigate whatever life's challenges that they may be struggling with at the moment. And so as both a therapist and a parent myself, I definitely understand the unique pressures families are currently facing. And I'm excited to share just some practical tools and some resources for you that you can utilize with yourself, your children. I was going to say students. Some of us are, if you're an educator, if you're working with children and families. And to get started, I would like for us to just do a check-in. So this here is roses and thorns. So as a parent, I love doing this with my children. And it's something that I've done with them since they've been quite young. And it really is this great way to check in with your children to see where they're at for the day. So your rose is something that is positive or something that you're grateful for the day. And your thorn is a challenge that you may be facing, a difficult time that you may be having, something that you may have experienced throughout the day or throughout the week. It could be a daily check-in, a weekly check-in, whatever that may be. And a bud, that could be like one small thing that you're going to do this week to take care of yourself. So that's a nice little check-in that I'd like for us to do here. And I'll start with myself. So my rose of the day is being able to be here. I'm really excited to be here and share with you guys, be in community, and receive some feedback from y'all as well. So my rose of the day is just being here with you all. And a thorn, I would say if there's a thorn, it would be that I was rushing from one location to the next. And you know how that can be. And with that, transparently speaking, that in itself can be a bit stressful as well, right? When you're leaving from one place to the other, not knowing what traffic may be like. So I would say that was the bit of thorn that I experienced in my transition to this space today. And one small thing that I'll do to take care of myself is just be present with me. And that could just be me sitting on the couch, and just breathing, just being still. That in itself is good enough. So would anyone like to share their rose, their thorn, their bud for the day, for the week, last week, whatever that may have been?
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So, my name's Trey Tucker, and I would say a rose, something that's been positive for me. Yesterday we had a women's celebration concert, and even though it had its stresses, it was very fulfilling, and it was awesome to see the kids come to fruition from starting off with scripts to them actually performing it in front of their parents and things of that nature. It brought natural joy, which was definitely needed, especially during that time. I would say a thorn, something that's difficult or that I've been facing would be just time management, being better with time, being able to stay on schedule, not diverting from schedules, so that way my day goes a lot smoother. So, there's that. And one small thing I'm going to do to take care of myself this week is just go to the gym and just be consistent with going instead of finding an excuse not to go. waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to do so. So that's been a bud and something that I did today, and I'm hoping to finish strong on Sunday. So thank you for listening.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for sharing. That definitely was a great rose there that you shared. And time management, it's something that so many of us struggle with, no matter how, efficient we feel we may be. It's one of those things that may come up. And I like that bud as well of that consistency with the gym. So anyone else would like to share?
I'll go. It's Yatina again. Um, I arose, which is opposite of what the time management, because I actually had good time management today. Usually for Mondays, I'm like scrambling trying to get everything prepped for the week. Because it's my day off. And so I'm like trying to make my meal prep. I'm trying to make my juices. Like I'm trying to do all of these things. And I have meetings at 6. So usually my day kind of like gets combusted with like so many things before I have to hop on another meeting. But surprisingly enough, I had everything prepped today and I'm happy. I'm gonna say that's a rose. And even though it's rainy, I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. A thorn is definitely resting, but not physical rest because I think I have it, but I think just making sure that my mind and my emotions are well rested, especially in this time. Um, and a bud, I think being kinder to myself. But being kinder in this sense of making sure that I see the small wins and being present. Because I'm like a person that likes to like accomplish one thing and then it's on to the next, not really like enjoying or being in the moment. So that's one thing I'm gonna do for this week.
I like that. I like that. It's so important for us to do just that, be kind to ourselves. And that's something that I love to emphasize with each individual that I work with, from the youngsters to the adults. It's so important for us to not neglect ourselves in that way. So that's a really good one there. Thank you for sharing. I can take one more if anyone else would like to share their rose or their thorn.
I'll go. I was waiting to be last. Um, Hello, everybody. I'm Nicole, and I am the founder of True Self Counseling, LLC. And for this week, my rose is that it is sunny and bright out here in Houston. It was rainy yesterday and the day before. So, with weather, sometimes that can certainly direct our mood. And with sun, I'm always happy and joyful and feeling at peace. So that's my rose. Is just seeing the sun, welcoming the sun back in, being present with that. And a thorn has been my workload this week. It's been very heavy. Lots of meetings, lots of sessions, lots of work between our psychotherapy work and also school work. So it's been pretty heavy this week. And a bud is I want to wake up about 15 minutes earlier every day so that I can start my day a little slower. So I'm not getting up and rushing into the first task of the morning. So that's going to be my bud for this week, just to wake up at least 15 minutes earlier than I typically would, to give me some time to kind of just, you know, ease into my first task.
I like that. What I'm hearing is like saying yes to you first.
Absolutely.
And being that theme of being kind to the self. So I really like that. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so we're gonna go into our next slide, and I'm just gonna give you all an overview of what to expect from our time together. So first, we'll do a temperature check to help you connect with your own stress levels first, really see where you're currently standing, and then we'll discuss how stress manifests in different ways, differently from children, differently from adults. And so you can really be able to better recognize it within yourself as well as within your children. We'll then explore some practical techniques for stress management that you can use for you and your family. And lastly, I'll really be wrapping up with a stress management plan that if you choose to utilize that, you can use it even if it's just a guide, and to give you some ideas of what you should consider or what you can consider when you're thinking about how can I manage the stress that I'm experiencing, my family is experiencing, my children, and how to really break that down to understand each other better, which ultimately leads to better connection with each other. And really, the objectives of today is to really learn about those different mental health challenges and explore some mechanisms for improving your mental health. And stress management is a significant and critical part of that. So I'd like for us to just do that temperature, that temperature check-in. So stress is the body's natural response to challenges and demands, right? And it can be triggered by both external and internal factors, including like your daily responsibilities, your own personal thoughts, the things that are happening outside of us, and then how we may internalize, how we process those things. And sometimes it's short term, but sometimes it can encourage us to perform better. There are different types of stress. And sometimes we have those that are prolonged and can really harm us in various ways and harm and impact our well-being for ourselves as well as for our families. I like to say that, community starts within, and really that within is within the self, right? So before we go further, I'd like to guide you through a brief temperature check-in so that you can be aware of your own stress levels right now, what's really coming up for you. And so I invite you to take a moment to just get comfortable in the space that you're in right now. Whatever feels right for you, you can close your eyes or just simply lower your eyes to a gaze. If you are not comfortable with your camera on, that is fine too. Bring yourself to a place and a space that feels right for you right now. And firstly, just notice your breathing without trying to change it. Just observe the natural rhythm of your breath for a few seconds. Now I invite you to scan your body from the top of your head down to your toes. Notice any areas where you might be holding in some tension. Perhaps your jaw, maybe it's your shoulders, or perhaps it's your chest or your stomach. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being completely relaxed and 10 being extremely tense, what number would give your current stress level? Just note that number to yourself. No need to share it out loud. If your stress had a color, right now, what would that color be? Would it be bright red? Perhaps blue? Maybe a stormy gray? Now, if your stress had a shape or a texture in your body, what would that feel like? Is it sharp? Is it heavy? Is it buzzing? Now place 1 hand on the part of your body where you feel that stress most intensely. Let's take 1 deep breath into that space and slowly exhale it out. Now feel what that feels like in your body. And I invite you to gently open your eyes if they're closed, bringing your awareness back to the room that you're in. And this simple check-in is something that you can do at any time, in any space, even if you're in a meeting, right? You could always go within and just get a temperature of where you're at right now, just really thinking about that. There's also a technique that you can use with your children to support them in recognizing what their stress levels are and supporting them with having and developing that language to name their stress signals before they become too overwhelming. But it starts really within, and we'll within the self, and we'll delve into that a little bit more as we go through our presentation for today. So thank you for joining me and participating in that check-in there. All right, so let's look at how we can understand stress in our families and how it differs from us as parents, as well as, from our children. So as adults, we might experience these physical symptoms like headaches, tension, sometimes digestive issues. There are a lot of studies now that show that there's a connection between the gut health and mental health. And sometimes adults, you may experience some sleep problems. And really, as we'll delve into, that happens for our children as well. So emotionally, as an adult, you may notice that you become more irritable. You may have some mood swings, feeling overwhelmed. And cognitively, we might have some racing thoughts that lead to sometimes those sleepless nights that one may have. And difficulty focusing and those negative thinking patterns that really keep us trapped sometimes and contribute further to that level of stress that we may be experiencing. And behaviorally, we might see some changes in our appetite, eating less or eating more. And sometimes with that irritability, there's that increase of conflict with others, or one may even become more withdrawn from peers, from social circles, and even some activities that one may typically or would usually be engaging in. Now, for youngsters, middle schoolers, or even younger children, the stress may manifest or show up a little bit differently. Physically, they may complain of having stomach aches. And similarly to adults, they may have some headaches. They may be tired, fatigued when they're coming home from school, a bit more restless. And emotionally, you may notice that they're more irritable as well. Those the mood swings that are coming up. They may have those emotional outbursts, and you're like, well, what's going on? You should be fine. You have everything that you need, all of that, but it really shows up for them in a different kind of way. And they may struggle with really organizing those feelings and finding the words to express what's happening in their mind, what's happening in their body. And so those responses that they may be giving, it may be disproportionate to what the problem really is. And academically, they may be struggling with their grades. They may be having the difficulty concentrating or even suddenly avoiding school if it's something that they really looked forward to previously. Again, socially, similarly to adults, they may become withdrawn from their friends, not wanting to talk as much anymore. They may be having more increased conflicts with their friends, or sometimes for children and some teens as well, they may become more clingy. It may be that they want to just be closer to you, or even at night, they want to come to your bed when they've been sleeping in their own bed independently. Whenever you're leaving the house, where are you going? I want to come with you. And you may be looking for that more space, but all of those can be indicators of, something stressful that they're experiencing, and the words just aren't there. So it shows up behaviorally. So I know that even for myself, just to disclose, with my daughters, there are times where I can just tell that, okay, right now something's going on, and we get to talk about that. And the reality of it is that sometimes they're not quite ready, but acknowledging that, right, and letting them know that I see you right now, and when you're ready, I'm ready. And we'll delve in a little bit further, but knowing those times where, okay, we get to take charge in these moments to support them through whatever stress it is that they're experiencing. And that then leads me to looking at us becoming their secure base, right? So Circle of Security Parenting is a program that I absolutely love. I love it as a therapist. I love it as a parent as well, because it really helps parents to recognize these basic emotional needs that their children may be experiencing, but also recognizing their own basic emotional needs. And it's not about telling parents you should be doing this or you should be doing that or you've been doing it all wrong, but it's applying these new language and new perspectives in terms of how we are seeing our children's behavior, as well as how we're seeing our responses as well, and getting a deeper understanding of what's happening internally for us. So, so the circle of security framework really helps us to understand what our children needs from us, especially during stressful time. At its core, it recognizes that children need both a secure base and a safe haven to explore, to go out and explore, and then return when they may feel unsafe or threatened or uncertain in whatever their experience is that they're having. The bigger, stronger, wiser concept there that you see, it doesn't mean intimidating or controlling, but rather being an emotional anchor that, like, essentially that safe haven that our children need from us. Wiser means having that perspective that your children does not have yet, and imparting that upon them. And the kindness really ensures that you remain calm, you remain supportive, rather than punitive when those stressful behaviors may emerge. And really on getting that understanding of what is happening, even if it may mean that, okay, I get to step back right now to understand and to figure out what's happening inside for me. And even if it's that, well, right now, I don't even know how to support them through whatever it is, because that's the reality of it sometimes. Sometimes we just don't know. And that is okay, but we get to be transparent, right? And show that though I am a parent, I am human too. And sometimes I don't have the answers, but we get to figure it out. And that's where those conversations become so importantly, especially in those stressful times. Those are the moments when children need to maintain those routines. So when there's high levels of stress that are taking place, maintain those routines as much as possible, because those predictable moments will help to alleviate a lot of those external stressors that they're experiencing. And they'll have something that they can rely upon, not just them, but you as well. Knowing that those are things that are just in place. And often when the outside world feels chaotic, home, it's important for home to feel just more stable and more consistent. And that in itself adds to that secure base as well. And in those moments, validating, acknowledging first your own feelings, what's coming up for you, and also then validating what is happening for them is very critical. And, understanding that you may be worried and you may be terrified, but having that balance of, okay, I'm feeling this way. And as a parent, we may not have all the answers, right? But knowing where to balance what I'm sharing, what is too much, and what is enough for them to be hearing. And it takes that level of knowing and understanding of your children and what they're capable of hearing, especially with what's happening in our world, in our society right now. There are a lot of things that children may have questions about, right? And with that, we get to be mindful of what it is that we're sharing, and how we separate what we know to be factual and from what is not, and look at where we're getting our resources and everything from. Um, Knowing that, and a lot of that really comes from, and having that connection comes from, and understanding comes from just knowing where we stand, right? And having that open space. I like to encourage individuals to have this open platform where you know that your children can come to you and talk to you about whatever it is that's coming up for them, even if, and a lot of the times, it may be uncomfortable for us to receive and hear as parents, especially when we don't know what to do with it. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to handle it. And when we don't have the solutions for it, especially in what's happening with it within our society right now, a lot of what's taking place is out of our control, right? And so we get to focus on what we know to be true, what's within our control, and as well as, maintaining those areas of consistency as we discussed previously. So I'm going to go to the next slide. All right. So I want us to look at, some practical examples of being a secure base while your middle schooler or your children in general may be struggling or experiencing some stress. So first, name and notice feelings without judgment. It may be something like, I see you're feeling overwhelmed about this. Really acknowledge that and use the language that's fitting for you within your own dynamic. Or it may be something like, it makes sense that you're feeling anxious about whether it's a test, or it makes sense you're feeling anxious about what may happen, whatever that may happen is, you know. So really acknowledging what it is that they're expressing. And then this validation really helps to build that connection with your child, and it helps them to develop that emotional literacy, help them to find the words to really express and externalize what it is that they're feeling, and give them that sense of, okay, I am feeling understood. So really helping them to build those skills to express themselves, their feelings, and know that they're valid for whatever it is. And so speaking of validation, really validate their experience, whatever that experience may be. Saying things like, well, that does sound challenging. Or maybe it's, I understand why you're feeling this way. Or maybe it's like, I don't understand, what you're experiencing or what you're feeling. I don't know what that experience is like, but I'm here to support you and we'll figure it out together. And, it doesn't mean that you may agree with their interpretation, just that you acknowledge that the feeling that they're having for whatever their experience is real for them. And then you can go about having those conversations of supporting them to further break down and make sense of whatever it is that they're presenting to you. And with that, it's offering that support, right? Offering that support while helping to build their confidence. With just saying the things like, I'm here to support you. I'm here for us to figure it out together, or I'm here if you need me. That helps us to communicate to our children that we're available to them, but we're not hovering and saying, well, tell me this now, because sometimes they might just not be ready, just as for us as adults, sometimes we're just not ready to share it yet. There's that internal processing that's taking place before one may be ready to share. And for every child, it is ever so different, right? So it may be coming up with strategies, or maybe let's look at, what may be helpful. And taking that approach really encourages problem solving and helps children, as well as yourself, really, to build that resilience and knowing that, okay, problems will have an answer. This thing can be overcome, or, we'll figure out the ways. So developing, again, those problem solving skills and, and building those resilience. Hello there. um, so So, and this is just to give an example. There was a father that I worked with that had a daughter who was anxious about a preschool presentation. And instead of fixing or dismissing the concerns or whatever it is that they were anxious about, right, and nervous about, he just acknowledged that nervousness and reminded her of just the past challenges that she'd overcome, and just simply just sat there and listened while she practiced, and offering that steady presence, that support. Sometimes that in and of itself is really just good enough. All right. And, I just want to point out the last thing there. Just remember that just your calm presence is more powerful than any kind of perfect words. That's it. Just the presence of it all, that non-judgmental presence, just being in that space. Sometimes that alone is good enough. And you both can be there just helping to regulate each other's emotions, and just releasing some of that tension that you may be experiencing. All right. So as parents, there are different ways that we can help our children and ourselves to really regulate the stress we're experiencing. And some simple things I'll just share. I don't think I have it on here, but it's a breathing technique, and you can just really do it with you have your hand there. Some of you may know it already, but it's just going up and down the palm, right? You breathe in and exhale it out. Breathe in and exhale it out. It's a simple breathing technique, in and out, and in and out, and in and out. That there's a simple breathing technique that you can take your time with and help to just regulate the nervous system for yourself, for your children. Really, breathing is one of the simplest ways that you can, and one of the simplest techniques that you can use to regulate. And for some may say, well, that doesn't work for me. Some may need something a little bit more, right? And that is okay. But knowing and having various tools in your toolbox or your toolkit, whatever it is that, you choose to call it, each individual that I work with calls it something a little bit different. Some like to say, well, it's the belt. I like the belt because I can carry the belt around with me and I can take it out whenever I want to use it. The toolbox would be much more, will be much more bigger to carry and just too much. So they like the belt idea. But that the 4-4-4 breathing is breathing in for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and then releasing again. And there is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, and I can share some of these things later if anyone's interested in having some of those. But the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique really just engages your senses. Like identify 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste, whatever that may be. And I like to share with families that repetition enhances learning. We may hear one thing at one point and we may feel like, well, this doesn't really land for me. This isn't working. But sometimes it takes us being introduced to things repetitively, because repetition enhances learning. And we may find that, okay, this didn't initially land with me, but now I can see how this works. Sometimes it's like that song. When you initially heard the song, you're like, I don't really like that there. But then you hear it over and over again. You're like, "Oh, this has grown on me." So something like that. And it's the same with really anything that you may try. You try it a few times before you discount it, right? And you say, okay, then you'll know that if it really jives with you and if it does not. So something else that you can do is really just being physical. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more. Children co-regulate through our nervous systems. I don't want to say the wrong number here, but there is in Circle of Security talks about how I think some children are 11 months old. I'm going to say that I am number dyslexic, so I mix up my numbers from time to time, transparently sharing there. So I think it's when children are 11 months old, they can really tell those responses from parents that make them uncomfortable. It really happens from a very young age where they can pick up on those cues of, okay, my mom is stressed, my dad is stressed. And because that level of connection is there. So they co-regulate through our nervous systems, and us being in a regulated steps help them to regulate as well. I think, as I previously mentioned, I was working with a family and they're like, the past few months have just been so stressful. And they're like, well, things are settled down now, so they should be good. But I'm still stressed out. Like, I don't understand why they're stressed out because I'm the one that's still going through all these things. I'm like, well, I like to also share that we're all interconnected, right? And in ways that we don't recognize sometimes. And we tend to isolate ourselves or be so individualistic that we don't recognize how our state and our way of being really impacts those around us that we interact with on a daily basis, especially those within our family dynamics. So just really keep those things in mind and tend to you first. As a parent, it's so important to really tend to you first. And just like in the airplane, you put on that oxygen mask first. The same thing applies here. So many individual that I work with, and even really transparently myself, sometimes we get so burdened with life's challenges or life's responsibilities, and there is that neglect of the self that comes in. So really important to take those moments, even if it's just 5 minutes I'm going to spend to just spend some time with me. And sometimes it's really hydrating, even if it's that, that's you saying yes to you too, and giving yourself that fuel so that and eating. Sometimes we underestimate that too. Eating, I like to say food is thine fuel. It's mine for sure. And, you know, eat and tend to yourself so that you can be fueled to tend to whatever it is, whatever those challenges, those stresses are that may come your way. And the thing about it is often they're unforeseen, right? We don't know that they're coming. So really map out that time to prioritize you as well and refill your cup over and over again so that it can runneth over and you have to share with, especially with those who you care the most about. And with that, you're also modeling, to your children that it's important that you take care of you because you are important. You're worthy of being taken care of as well. And recognizing that in and of itself can help to release or reduce those stresses, and for you to also catch when you are stressed out, you're getting to that point where um, you may be at a point where you can't regulate, or you're feeling as though you may be needing external supports. So the sooner we can catch that, the better for us as well as for our little ones. And again, we're modeling to them the importance of that and how they can do that. All right. So far, we've gone through some techniques, right? We did some of the finger breathing. We did the roses and thorns. We did that body scan just to really see where we're at. And relaxation techniques are, vital tools for stress management. So I'd like for us to just go over some of those. And so deep breathing exercises are perhaps really the most simple, but yet so powerful tool. Inhaling deeply and exhaling through the nose, and exhaling slowly just helps to reduce the tension. It lowers the blood pressure. It calms the nervous system. And this can be done anywhere at any time. And no one really has to know that you're doing that, right? It's just you checking in with yourself, because you know most what your body is going through. It speaks to you. So taking the time to really listen to that. So some meditation and mindfulness practices in the body scan exercise that we did, that's an example of being mindful, getting grounded and being present with where you're at. And, it just helps us to clear the mind and, again, lower those stress levels. If even brief periods of mindfulness, those can promote emotional stability and just heightened awareness of what's happening within as well as what's happening externally. And so there's this thing, progressive muscle relaxation, which involves like really tensing and then releasing different muscle groups in the body. And this technique, it really helps to alleviate some physical tensions that you may be feeling. And it helps to and foster that sense of relaxation. So you really tense it and then you release. And what often happens is with that release, you're also breathing. And sometimes you don't really notice that that's what's happening. All right, so you can do this for yourself. You can do it as well for your children. and guide them through tensing and releasing maybe their toes, their legs, their stomach, their hands, their shoulders, and releasing. And even the face, clenching the jaw, and then releasing that, feeling what that feels like in your body. And then there's the physical activity, right? Depending on where things are at for you, and you know the dynamics of your household and the struggles that you may be experiencing right now. So some physical activity, maybe it's going to the park or not. Maybe it is staying in and doing some things inside and even getting a little bit creative. Maybe it's playing some music and having some freeing fun time, and even tapping into your own inner child and what that's like to just be free, right? Without any judgment. And if it's not something that you usually do, your kids may be looking like, be like, oh, mom, dad, what are you doing? Grandma, what are you doing? It may feel a bit weird, but continue tapping into that. So being mindful of the time, I'm gonna go through what I have next. Let's see if it loads. So so this here is really just a guide that you can use to really support your family in recognizing what are some of the stress signals that you're experiencing. So it may be looking at each family member. We can do it per this form, or just having that conversation, even just that. It could be at the dinner table while you're all sitting in the living room, or just having the conversation in the car while you're driving. What matters is that you're understanding where your stress levels are at. So, you know, list how each family member typically shows signs of stress. What's happening in your body? Is your heart beating fast? Have you found that you've been having ruminating thoughts? You're up at night and you can't sleep because you're thinking about the same thing over and over. What's happening for your children? Have they been communicating, stomach aches, a lot of headaches? And, where are some spaces in your home that you can? Maybe it's just going to your bedroom. Maybe it's just sitting in the living room. Maybe it's just being in the kitchen while mom is cooking. For everyone, it's different. What helps one to feel more regulated? Maybe it is riding a bike, going for a walk, or just listening to some music. So knowing what that is for each of your family members is really important to just start having that conversation so you can better support each other and understand each other and ultimately be more connected to each other. So that therein, with what's happening in our society now, I think it's really important to look at, how much news are we looking at? How is that impacting us right now? And how much time are we spending on those various platforms, whatever they are, and really giving ourselves a break as adults and encouraging our children to do the same, and recognizing what's coming up and externalizing that. Whatever is happening inside the body and the frustrations, the anger, externalizing that and finding, the appropriate supports that are there to support you in stepping out of that, validating, the feelings, because the feelings that you're feeling are valid and real for you, right? So reaching out to the sports, really managing how much we're exposing ourselves to. And earlier in our check-in, it was mentioned being kind to yourself. And being kind to ourselves is also looking at the things we're exposing ourselves to as well. So we're being kind to our minds and, the emotions that we allow to come in from these external things that we expose ourselves to as well. Then maybe it is free media times. I know once upon a time, and even now from time to time within my household, we'll have those times on a Sunday where we're like, okay, no electronics, and we'll spend that quality time together. And, these are teenagers. So with my teenagers, it's incredible to hear how meaningful that is for them, especially as teens. So just really look over this and see what may land for you, what tools you can utilize. The goal here is to build that toolkit or that tool belt. Let me zoom out. All righty. So how are we doing for time?
It looks like you have a few minutes left. What is
Oh,
that, guys? Like 7 minutes?
all right. So what I was going to do is a guided visualization just to share something else with you, another technique that you can utilize. But considering time, I'm going to pause on that.
I was
And
looking forward to that, Marian.
you were looking forward to that?
I know.
Okay. All right. So with that, I'll
Before
go.
you go into it, is there anybody in the room though that may have questions thus far, just in case, so that we are certainly looking at making sure that we're honoring the time?
I have just a question about the family stress management plan. Is
Mhm.
there a way that you can email that? So, I think that could be very helpful for people who might need like visually to see something to kind of walk through that. So that would be awesome. Also, we have, we have enough time. So if you do want to do your guided visualization, it will run a little bit over 6 o'clock, but we have until, 6:15, 6:10, 6:15. So we're not pressing you for time, just so you know.
Okay. All righty. Give me just a second. Let me do something on my end. Okay. So thank you there. So I'd like for us to go into this guided visualization, and this is really just a tool that you can use for both adults and for children to create a sense of calm and a sense of safety. And this is the shorter version, but there are lots of options out there, whether you're using an app or YouTube, so many options out there. You can just Google it. So find a comfortable position wherever you're sitting and gently close your eyes if that feels right for you. Breathe in deeply, in and out. Imagine that all of the air you pull in is full of love and compassion. Let's breathe in with safety and out with any worries. Breathe in with calm and out with any tensions. In with joy and out with concern. Imagine a place where you feel completely safe. This might be a real place you visited before, or somewhere from your imagination. Look around in this safe place, the safe space that you're creating for yourself. Notice what you can see, the colors, the shapes, the light. And if you're unable to see anything, just be still with a sense of calmness that is always within you for you to tap into. Now notice what you might hear. What are you hearing in this special place? Perhaps it's gentle sounds that help you to feel at ease. Feel the temperature and the sensations on your skin. This is your safe place where you can return anytime you need a moment of calm. Feel what it feels like to be in the space that you have created. Take another deep breath in and out. Feeling the peace of this place just filling you up. Know that this is a place that you can return to anytime you're in need of feeling grounded, of being comforted, of being reminded of the peace that you have within you. It is indeed innate, something you can tap into at any time. Everything that you need to succeed is already within you. Breathe in deeply, in and out. Imagine that all of the air you pull in is full of love and compassion. Let's breathe in with safety, out with any worries, in with calm, out with any tensions, in with joy, and out with concern. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing the feeling of calmness that you have created with you. All right, so welcome back to this place and this space. And this is also something that you can share with your middle schoolers, helping them to really connect with themselves from such a young age, right? It is so important. I found that so many people feel so disconnected from themselves. When do you feel most connected to yourself? When asked, most will say, well, I don't even know. So really sharing this with your youngsters so they can tap into that. And for the younger they are, you may want to adapt this to making it more concrete. Right. Think of maybe saying, think of your favorite place. That's often better, or it may be more impactful than a place where you feel safe, because they might not be able to conceptualize that as yet. And maybe keeping it much shorter for them as well as they're being, introduced. Repetition enhances learning. And maybe hear your favorite music, or maybe feel a gentle breeze. That may be better or more effective for working with little ones, your middle schoolers, or, even high schoolers, or even, if you want to share it with your partner, your spouse, and even grandparents. It really is fitting for any and everyone. So I want to move forward so I can share some resources with you and some more about us. Oh. So, again, my name is Marian Peynado. I am from True Self Counseling, and we're here to support, with resources and individual couples, family therapy sessions. Sometimes the stress becomes too overwhelming. It's too much for us to handle on our own. And as a writer, I wrote a piece called Save Me From Myself. And there is, it talks really about stepping outside of yourself and reaching out to the external supports that are there. And sometimes it is therapy. And we go through the whole process of what this experience can be like, especially if it's something that you've never done before. So, reach out if you're feeling like, okay, I've been experiencing stress for so long. And if it has lasted 2 to 3 weeks and it's not getting any better, that is an indicator. Our body speaks to us and sends us those messages of, I need help, right? So listen to your body, and often reaching out is so powerful. It may be interpreted as a sign of weakness because I'm reaching out and looking for support, but there's so much strength in that. When you think about how much courage it takes someone to pick up that phone call and take that step, there's so much power in that. And in that, you're saying yes to you. So support is out there, and we offer individual, couples, family therapy, services for adults, teens, children. We have telehealth options as well as in-office options. I'm in the office at the moment. And we have some group group options as well, psychosecurity parenting, some women's group. Just we have, many options there, and we take theirs insurance as well. So the number is right here. You can reach out, and if we don't have the resources, what I love is that we can support you in getting connected to some of the resources that you may need as well. So keep those things in mind. I like to say, be kind to yourself. And so I will leave you with that, and be mindful of those moments when you're saying your yes to someone else means a no for you. So say yes to you and be kind to yourself. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Good job.
Your voice is very therapeutic. I don't know if you do readovers or anything, but your voice will like fit perfectly.
None of those, none of those. But I do have to go. I thank you all so much, and it was truly a pleasure. So thank you, Nicole, for keeping me on. Thank you, Yatina. It was nice meeting you, Trey. And I will be in touch, but I gotta go.
Nicole, would I be able to ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
What's the parenting security circle?
So that is something that we have two clinicians currently who are trained in that. Marian is one of them, and Heather is another one. And Marian actually runs a group, and sometimes she'll use it in her individual sessions with parents. And it's a very specialized curriculum, if you will. So she'll pull parts of it from it. So it's about safety in being in parenting. It teaches a lot of different skills. It gives a space of validation, but it really, really, really teaches parents skills on how to first deal with them so that they can deal with their kids. So that's what it's really about.
And is it just for middle school or can it be
No,
for
no,
like
no. That's for any parent, any
um
age. Mhm.
I really like that. I have one more question for you. All right, I know. How can schools and community-based organization better support their students? Or what's better ways can we implement things in our daily
In the
talk?
classrooms, perhaps. Are you asking about in the classrooms? So remember when Marian was doing the guided meditation? That is actually something that I do encourage. So when I was working in a school, I would encourage teachers to implement that. And again, it can be very, very brief, very short, 2 minutes at most, to do the guided, or if the kids can't handle it, at least start to teach them breathing techniques, because that is something that we can reference when kids are having a crisis or having a hard time. We can reference that. So if we're teaching them that every day, so when the kids come into the classroom, they're hustling and bustling, they're rushing in, and all the things are going on, it's chaotic. If we, before we start our lesson, just give them a moment to settle down and do some breathing techniques. I like to do the box breathing. Marian put the 4 count, I do a 5 count, but whatever count makes sense, right? But it's the breathe in, hold, breathe out. Just do that a couple of times, and it at least gets them settled. It gets their nervous system at homeostasis.
Thank you. That's all from me, Trey. Mr.
Yeah, so I don't really have a question, more so a just comment. I think it's beautiful what you do, and just that presentation was like perfect for me. So I know that, when it's given to either parents or students, I know that it's very relatable. Sometimes terms and information can be like an overload, or the kids may not take it serious because they don't understand it. And I just want to say thank you, because that was helpful for me, and I didn't even realize how much stress I was relieved after listening to all the information and just doing that. So I definitely know we can incorporate more of this into classroom settings, but I just wanted to say thank you because this was awesome. So.
Thank you for having us. Anytime you need anything that has to do with coping skills, stress management, as you had today, or anything relatable, trauma is huge as well, right? We are we're open. I have about 12 clinicians, and they all have
Wow.
expertise and different passions. So we're here. If you don't have our number, Yatina can give it to you, and you can pass it on to the parents, the families. They can always reach out, and we're here to support them.
Absolutely. Can you just make sure you can send that form to Yatina, the parent, just so we can have it to give to our students in our program as well. That'd be very helpful.
Okay, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. You guys take
And
care.
if you know any clinicians looking for work, Hartford is definitely looking for trauma-informed social workers for next year. We actually added a whole position at MLK.
So I do have an intern that is getting ready to graduate, and she wants to go into the school sector. So I can certainly let her know.
Yeah, definitely let her know that Hartford is looking.
Okay.
There's a lot of trauma on the table, so she would have her hands full.
I will let her know.
Yeah, cool. Thanks so much. And thanks for
All
the
right.
presentation. It was great.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.